What's going on, everybody? This is Jordan with Conquer Trading and Investing. We're getting ready here for our weekly Forex forecast and analysis for the upcoming week of June the 1st through the 5th. Before we do that, let's look at the calendar. We have a few high impact news events to be on the lookout for. That's including an ending Friday with non-farm employment change. The day before on Thursday is the ECB policy statement and press conference. And then we have the US on Monday, ISM manufacturing, and on Wednesday, ISM non-manufacturing. All of those will definitely be in play. Let's take a look at the charts right now. Let's kick this off looking at the DXY, which is actually on the verge of breaking down outside of this range. If you follow me right now, you could see what is happening over here. This is the lower trend line over here of this channel that we've been in ever since April. And Friday, we pierced below it, coming into the support at 97.90 and then retracing up. We did retrace briefly up outside of that. It looked like we might recover the level, but closed below the support of this trend line, but right on the horizontal support of 98.30. So what does that mean? Well, it means the dollar's under a lot of pressure over here. We're really going to need to see what happens on Monday. Specifically, we're looking what happens on the open. Are we going to gap up? Are we going to gap down? What type of follow through are we going to see? It's going to be a big session in London. Find out what happens with the dollar. And then in New York, we're going to have to review it. Right now, you have to be very cautious on the US dollar. It appears that a technical breakdown is on the verge. Now, this might be a false pierce over here. You could see that it's a long wick into the support and then since has recovered back up. It's not giving us any type of indication of whether or not it's going to make it yet back up into the channel. You could see in this area over here when that also did occur, that pierce, but that same day you actually made it back into the channel, closing towards the lows of the day. It's a different price bar that we have over on Friday. We're going to need to watch it carefully, and we will do that. We'll be taking obviously a close look at this one Monday morning, 9 o'clock a.m. when we go live for the New York session. All right, moving over here to the euro US dollar, you could see, zoom out, you could see that we've also pierced through our heavy resistance that we're looking for to a breakout and continue momentum to the upside. However, focus in here with me. However, you could see that this wick, this giant wick, closed exactly on the resistance / support. We have no clear indication of whether or not this is now resistance or it will be forming as support. Monday's a huge day. Normally, this weekend, when we take a look for the plan ahead, we're able to get a really good bearing. We have big unknowns hanging over our head after last week. Is the euro breaking out over here, or is it going to be rejected in this area? I'll tell you what, Monday is going to be a big day over here. If this continues going out over here, we're going to take this down to the 8 hour. I'm going to watch this on the 8 hours, specifically during the London session. You could see after piercing upwards, we've only came back down and are now holding that area of broken resistance. Could be support now. We're going to see what happens in Asia. It's an important bar, Asia bar, whether or not this trades above or below this resistance. And then specifically what happens once the volume starts coming in on the London session. What are they going to do with it? Do they take it back above? And is this a breakout? Or are we going to trade back down into the range? We're going to have to watch this one closely. All right, let's move over to the US dollar, Japanese yen. And what I want you to notice is that we are still completely sideways. We're sideways in this between this resistance at 108.1 and this support over here at 106.96. We're in dead center, no man's land. There is no edge on this pair right now. Whether or not you start seeing risk on and both these pairs showing weakness, obviously the Japanese yen even weaker on Friday with that huge risk on move, or if these pairs go risk off, now you have two strong risk off pairs and they can just continue to battle out, whether you're looking at two strong pairs during risk off or two weak pairs during risk on. There's no edge. Look for opportunity elsewhere. I'm always looking for what's trending because it has the opportunity to push through multiple either resistance levels or support levels. Here, if you're playing the range, it's a very narrow short range. It doesn't make a sense to tie up your capital like that. All right, let's start looking here at the pound US dollar. First thing I want you to notice, all right, to zoom out, okay? What does that look like to you? That looks to me like we're definitely in a downtrend, all right? We all know about this huge up move, consolidation, broke to the downside. What has happened since, right? Look over here. Look at this. Look at last week and the week before's price action. We're in this rising channel over here. Normally this ends actually very bearish. This is a continuation pattern. This is a bear flag. And watch what will happen if we break down to the downside. This week, if we take out the support at 1.2286 and this lower trend line, that's an opportunity to look to get short over here. Now, what about on the upside as we come back up further? If we get above this resistance over here at 1.24, right? And we're able to trade up towards the top of this trend line, now resistance, with this horizontal area of resistance. That's also an area to look for an opportunity to short this pair. But right now, the pound has a lot of work to do before the structure here turns favoring the bulls here, the buy side. And that's going to be above this area right here. That's going to be above that resistance at 1.2486. Never mind that it's not going to be leading against the dollar here. We're going to take a look at that now. We have other currencies that perhaps will actually lead better. Notice the last two times, though, it got pierced above that area. Both times it was rejected, so be cautious, but there is a decent trade between the break of this resistance at 1.2486 and then towards 1.26 that you definitely might, there we go again, that I'm definitely might be interested in. It'll depend at the time at what other setups there are. It's always a question of not taking every single setup. That's where a lot of traders go wrong. It's not a question of taking every single setup. It's about seeing the wave of setups come in and then discerning which is providing the greatest high probability opportunity, and that's the one you focus in on. Now, as we focus here on the Australian dollar, US dollar, I want you to keep one thing in mind that we are looking at on the US dollar, perhaps breaking down outside of that channel, that trading range, what could lead to some further dollar weakness. At the same time, if we continue seeing that huge, strong risk on move we saw last week, watch this to be priced into the Australian dollar. Look over here at this line horizontally. It's coming in at 0.66657. This is exactly what we're trading into right now. This is provided on the way down support. Look at this area over here. Look at these touches over here, right? And then after it broke, resistance. This is our go-to. This was during the crisis, our go-to setup. Now what's happening? We're back to this area. This is area of as soon as the crisis was developing. We are back here now to neutral. This is a big level. At the same time, I want you to zoom out with me. Look at this trend line I have going back to December 2018. This is pre-crisis. We tried to break above it, and then we had a big risk off move taking us back down until we eventually broke down below the support. This was a possibility here that we were looking for the upside that is now developing again as we are again breaking above that trend line and above this really strong resistance we're looking at. Yes, focus right here at the bodies of these candles. Focus where my mouse is right now. It's coming in at 0.674. That's also very strong resistance. And then it's got more above. The Australian dollar is not out of the woods yet, but it is on the verge here of now where it becomes really interesting if we're going to see a sustained recovery, which is obviously also completely possible. Now, what I want you to focus on right now is for our swing traders perspective, because day to day, right, looking from 1 to 5 days out, we're able to do well in the markets. Right over here, you can see that we are trading within this channel. This channel is not the cleanest. Let me clean it up a little bit, right? I could see that. Well, actually, I take that back. I actually like this channel that's over here, and I like it a lot. Let me come down to the 8-hour time frame with you though as we develop our setup for next week. And what we're looking at is if we clear this resistance over here. Notice the structure of the market, this horizontal resistance, and then over here you're seeing less and less and less sellers being able to take control. This is probably going to lead to an upward breakout. And if it does, we will look for a retest of that broken resistance. If we confirm it, then we have a nice trade coming into this resistance and or top of this channel looking to take profit. That's a very nice trade I'll be looking at to the upside. Now, what happens if by any chance we go risk off next week? It's possible we open off with a risk off bias, right? Let's see what we'll be looking at then. All right, here we are looking at the Australian dollar, Japanese yen. You could see a similar thing over here. If I zoom out, you could see this trend line also going back. This is going back to December of 2018, like on the Australian dollar, US dollar. Again, tried to pierce through it and a couple of times and was rejected hard. Here we are again, piercing through it to the upside and at the same time, coming into this strong resistance. Take a look at it. This was all resistance. This level coming in at 72.37. And then after it broke above, it held as support, broke below as resistance, and then again was support. It's definitely a strong resistance level that we're coming into next week. That's an opportunity if we see risk off right now coming in early on Monday to go ahead and look for a possible fade over here. Yes, we are above this trend line over here. We are above the trend line, that's for sure. That's definitely holding us more slightly to the buy side here. It's still got a lot of work to do though. It's not only got to get above this resistance, it's got another really big level up at 74.43. So right now is a good place only if risk off comes into the market and we see that Japanese yen, which has been sold the last week or so, to come ahead and reprice itself, and the opposite of the Australian dollar, which is really benefiting from that risk on. This is the play if you see risk off come into the market. I was looking at this on Friday. I had orders placed, just sell stop orders, just in case with President Trump's press conference. If that set the market off into any type of risk off, I would have been here to take advantage of it. All right, look at the euro Japanese yen. This is actually strongly in play this week as well with the ECB meeting. That is on Thursday. Watch the euro Japanese yen step back. We're in an extremely strong downtrend over here. I'm going to be doing an extra segment on the channel. I'm going to be going over the situation of the EU, of the European Union, and we're going to be taking a look at different levels on the euro Japanese yen and on the euro US dollar. The next couple of months are going to be pretty big on these pairs. Watch. Now we're back into a very strong resistance level that again is just like on the euro US dollar. It's unclear whether or not it's going to break or hold as resistance. This is Monday is a big day for this pair. We're going to again have to watch the opening in Asia to see if we have a gap up or a gap down, and then we're looking for the follow through during London. Definitely a very important session coming up for the euro on the euro US dollar and the euro Japanese yen. We are into strong resistance. Yes, we still have a lot structurally further work to do. Look at all of the resistance up in this area over here, right? Over here. And then again, over here. She's got a lot of work to do before it's clear skies. This looks pretty bad. And now we're coming up into this area of strong resistance. This is an opportunity. Watch it closely during London. We'll see if we can get ourselves into some nice entries. Now, what happens if this continues rising? Stand aside. You're still in a downtrend. Wait for it to come into the next resistance levels. And we'll try here or here, see if we're able to get a position that works out. All right, let's take a look at spot gold, which is looking quite healthy as it's come. See this little bit of a bull flag that we were able to come in, test the bottom area of support, and then resume off of this week, breaking out to the upside over here. However, I notice what happens, how price reacts around news events. And after Trump's press conference on Friday, this was, I think, bid going into the possibility of there being some type of tension, further tension between the US and China. You could see that it got rejected by this resistance at 1735. That's the next area it needs to clear. This is actually on, if we go risk on next week, if we open up with risk on, this is gold is in jeopardy of actually retracing back here, and this is actually could become a failed breakout and back into the channel. And if that's the case, we might see some further selling pressure on gold. Just for anyone who's actually in this trade, I am going ahead and actually protecting profits on this one. I'm looking to get out of this trade, lock in profits right now, right around 1720. Let's take a look at silver this week, because silver is technically looking very bullish now after taking out these two resistance levels last week. Look at this Friday's price action. Look at that really bullish bar. Now let's drop down to the 8 hour. Maybe we could look at a possible further place to look for entries. Look, this resistance it broke above, which is now support at 1740. It was a nice breakout, and then confirming it, getting above 1762. A pullback into either one of those two levels, either one of these supports, and a resumption off will absolutely bode well for looking to re-enter silver now to the long side, as it's proving itself here to be looking pretty bullish. Now, everyone knows how we protect ourselves, right? Because if we come back and test these levels and never resume up, it'll just keep us out of the trade. That's fantastic, right? We only get into the trade if we confirm a broken resistance level as support and resume off of it, right? So stay protected, stay safe. Now, what happens if this continues? What happens if this continues up without pulling back? That's quite possible on the precious metals. At that point, we'll wait and we'll see until where it hits some type of a little bit of resistance. It'll then consolidate, and out of that consolidation, we could look for a re-entry. So again, right now, we're just waiting for a pullback into one of these two broken resistance, confirm them as support, look for a resumption upwards, or we're looking for further higher prices here on silver, and then a consolidation phase before looking for a long entry. Let's move over to WTI crude oil, which is also on the verge of a breakout over here. Across the board, we're seeing some big levels hit. Now, not looking to play this breakout above this resistance here at 35 at all. Watching oil, it's still in a very bear market. This is a normal retrace, a normal bull move in a bear rally. Looking to fade this into resistance. If we get the breakout over here, then it becomes very interesting. Let me drop down to the 8 hour time frame. You can see where I'm watching. Watching this gap over here at 41.40. If we fill that gap, that will be a place that I'll begin watching for a rejection, whether it's as soon as the gap is filled or if it's a little higher towards $44 and $45. Those will also be areas to look for possible rejections, and then to look to build up a nice short position on oil. Now, of course, there is a bull case to be made for oil and a bear case. I'm actually looking forward to sharing both of those with you as well this week in a different segment where we could get deeper into the fundamentals. Lining up the fundamentals with the technicals, that's when everything becomes magic. Here's a look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin, right, is looking very bullish. Stand back with me. Stand back. Again, this is the line we're focused on over here from the all-time high back in December of 2019. Another high we saw back in June of 2019. Did I say December of 2017? Then we have June of 2019. This is the line. Once we break above that resistance, the bull market has officially begun. And at that point, we will be looking for a test of the all-time highs, probably about 6-7 months away. A test of the all-time high at 19,400. Probably early in 2021, we go on to make all-time highs. Now, what are we looking at near term? We continue to trade healthy within the bottom over here, the bottom trend line support, and the upper resistance. This is where we expect it to be coming out of the halving, waiting for a breakout to the upside, which is coming pretty soon. Now, I don't think we're going to see any type of dump. Now, I said between June the 2nd and June the 5th, it was possible we see a sell-off. new things have come to light. That is namely Grayscale, the Bitcoin fund, has been actually purchasing more than all of the Bitcoin mined since the halving. One on-ramp alone is purchasing more than all the mined Bitcoin since the halving, right? And then you add in Square's Cash App and forget about it. 2 on-ramps are taking up the newly minted supply of Bitcoin. This is obviously very bullish over here. I do believe we had miners capitulate over here during the crisis in March, and I think that they had to sell a lot of their reserves, which is why we're not really seeing a sell-off. Now, right after the halving, we did see about a 19% sell-off over there, right? That's a pretty big sell-off. I'm looking right here. I don't know that we will get a test again of the 8,500 level, but I have 85 and 82 places to orders in to accumulate. This thing is looking very good. It is possible. It is quite possible, again, sometime between June the 2nd and the 5th, that we do see some type of pressure on Bitcoin. I do think that, always aware of the downside. I do believe those risks are migrating, and this is actually looking very bullish over here right now. A break above this little trend line over here, that will send us to test the resistance, the trend line resistance, and also we have big strong resistance right here at just under 10,400. A break above those sets us off. All right, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this. I know I did. Thank you all. I just really want to take a moment and say thank you all. I love our Friday sessions. I love our Friday live streams because the market, we get to take a breath. We actually get to kind of check in with each other and get to know each other a little bit more. I'm definitely grateful for that. I'm grateful for all of you. I look forward Monday morning seeing you all at 9 o'clock a.m. Eastern time, half hour before the markets open. We're going to take a look together at the New York session. That's it for now, everyone. I'll talk to you soon.